A is for Alcoholic is a program about recovery. My name is John, and I'm an alcoholic.
And my name is Jerry, and I'm an alcoholic.
Join us as we go through the alphabet of alcoholism, one letter at a time.
Oh, Jerry.
What?
So I welcome everybody to the big show. I want to say thank you guys, everybody who listens. It really it means a lot. And you know, we have our Patreon page that helps us to afford things like you know, the monthly SoundCloud account and the unfortunate, what is it? I was going to say Audible.
Spotify?
No, Audacity. We were using Audacity, which was a free program, and now we use the Hindenburg, which costs money, and so any number of things that the money goes to. So we appreciate that, but mostly, you know, it's like I was going through and I was looking at like all the different. There's a lot of different recovery podcasts, and there's a lot of different sobriety podcasts, and I am so glad that people are out there putting out a message that works for somebody, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
I try to listen to some of them, and I'm not connected. I'm not interested. I don't like it. It's just not for me, right? But that doesn't mean that it doesn't have any value. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's important. There's a lot of them out there, right? I know that sounds, but you know,
there's just a lot of podcasts in general out there.
Yeah, I think there's something like 750,000 podcasts, which is insane. So I guess all of that to say is that I know your attention is finite and it's precious and it's important. And if you're listening to this, we appreciate you listening.
Also, our sound quality is really bad right now. So
yeah. So we're if that comes over, there's just some technical issues we're dealing with this week, but it'll be back on. And you know, the best thing you can do is share it with somebody, post it on your social somewhere, and we appreciate it. So,
sorry, I didn't mean to address the bad sound issue in the middle of you doing that.
Well, so
promote our prestige. Like I said earlier, our prestige podcast. We're like the limousine of podcasts. Like you and a couple of friends get together, rent us out in high school, drive around town looking cool, sticking out of the sunroof and waving.
Drive through Carl's Jr.
Drive through Carl's Jr. Everybody gets fried zucchini on the A's for Alcoholic podcast.
Do they have that there?
Fuck yeah, my wife loves it. Dude.
Oh, really?
My wife's favorite thing is Carl's Jr. only because of the deep fried zucchini. I make it at home and she's like, it's not the same.
Not the same.
Not the same. Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea. I didn't know that. I always liked the waffle fries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or was it no? Because curly fries that was like a Jack in the Box thing, and they were the worst.
Yeah,
like the curly fries at Jack in the Box were shit. They didn't season them. So then when you're drunk at like 3 a.m, you get this big box of curly fries. You're like, oh man, it's gonna be all salty and delicious, and it's just plain ass potatoes and like months old grease.
Eating a hot ass potato cut with with no salt. Well, no, they ended up seasoning them eventually, but yeah.
I guess I just have a bad memory of the Jack in the Box. I mean, I have bad memories of Jack in the Box in general.
Too, but I love Jack in the Box. Just speaking of bad memories,
tell me, did you watch that video that I sent?
I did. I scrubbed through a lot of it, but I feel like you're too hard on yourself sometimes. Like you'll text me and be like, "What the fuck was wrong with me, man? It's just subhuman." And I'm like, "No, dude, you're an alcoholic. You're having fun. You're a fat little alcoholic, just like me."
I'll send you some of the other ones where it was just me and Danny. Yeah, but
yeah, we absolutely made some mistakes, but just sometimes you're like so hard on yourself. I'm like, listen, we were all fucking little dingbats, dude.
So Jerry and I are talking about a movie, a home movie, camcorder VHS, mini VHS that Jerry had purchased a camera. I don't remember. What was your intention with buying that? Was there any sort of like dream of
sex tape probably or something? Just I don't remember, but I was making some movies. I was making little short videos, but honestly, my reasoning behind it is probably gross. I was probably like, yeah, girlfriend, let's get weird. I got tattoo money now. But yeah, I made a couple of music videos and shit.
Yeah.
On my own. And then I got together.
I remember that. There was one you did to that Mike Doty song, the Sugar Plant.
Yeah.
It was like black and white kind of thing.
Yeah. No, that was way later than that.
Okay.
Well, maybe it was around the same time. But anyhow, So John has these videos. John, like, we decided to document our lives. I don't know why. Like, at one point, it's our Coda giving himself a haircut. Then it's you and I and Coda blowing things up with firecrackers. And then it's me with a military flare in the backyard. I don't know where I got a military flare from.
Why not? Yeah.
Then he's got footage of me arguing with my ex-girlfriend because she's trying to give me driving lessons, and I don't want to take driving lessons. And you can't hear us at all, and all you can see is the outlines of us, but you can tell we're arguing because of her body language. Like, her arms are crossed really high on her chest, and she's just like nodding. Like, you can just see my little pink head in the car, like bobbing up and down. Yeah, but I think you're too hard on yourself. My point is, sometimes I'm like, we were just kids in our 20s. We hadn't. I don't know.
And that was what, 99, 2002?
Yeah, and we were still in the 1900s in the beginning of that shit. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Then later on, it was the 2000s. But
well, I appreciate that. I think too, for me, and maybe you see this too, but I look at the dramatic difference in weight in my face, especially in my body, and so that's something that I go like, Jesus Christ, John. How are you doing that every single day? You know, just bloated.
Yeah. And the tools weren't there. We didn't have a smartphone where you can like track your steps. We didn't have a smartphone to count our sober days. Do you know what I mean? Right. Like, if it were 1999, I wanted to know my sober days. Like, I'd have to find a calculator that wasn't attached to a phone I was talking on. I guess finding a calculator is not that fucking hard, though.
No. But yeah, I guess people change, and you know, we were just, you're right, we were just having fun, not doing a very good job, but you know.
But you know what the important part of all that shit is, though, is that we never forget. We never forget who we were.
I think it's important. You texted me that too, that when I was telling you about going through it, and like, oh God, it's like, just remember that, man. Like, that is who you were, and that's who I could have still, and I was that person for another 15 years, you know, or whatever it was, 13. Yeah.
And now here we are today, two svelte, thin men in the middle of a weird midlife crisis.
Pandemic. I'm currently, just so that we have it on the record here, I'm currently about 15, 20 miles away from the forest fires that are happening in Northern California. And although my quadrant or section or zone has not been put under evacuation, the one where I work has been, which is about 7 or 8 miles away. But that's at the very tip of that particular zone. So I'm fine. I'm safe. All is well at the time of the recording of this. But there's a lot of people who are dealing with a lot of horrifying shit. And, you know, my heart goes out to them like I can't even imagine. Well, I mean, I can a little bit. I did a few years ago when I had to run, when I had to flee. But
and to think about this podcast, we have episodes within weeks of each other where we now are both have been put under near evacuation notices.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's amazing to me in those moments, when I'm like I was telling you last night, it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm trying to pack a couple of backpacks with clothes, and I'm thinking, well, what's really fucking important here, dude? Like, just grab a couple of jackets and a sweater, you know, and as many underwear and socks. You know, fresh underwear I think is important over my fresh fly, you know, boots that I got at Macy's 2 years ago that I never wear. So, you know, that kind of stuff. And so I filled it all up, and it just really becomes apparent what is important, and just all this other stuff. Like, I can't go through the closet. I can't save the photo albums, and I can't.
Do you have photo albums?
I have some because we took a bunch of pictures before, you know, I have pictures back to like 2005 or 6.
My wife has photo albums. I don't. I know. Well, I guess I have a graffiti photo album, but that's about it, though.
Well, what happened was I had lots of pictures in these boxes, and I eventually, like, during quarantine, one of the things I did was I put them in the photo albums. So I packed up things. There's bags by the door. I suppose I could put them in the trunk, but I will know today probably what's going to happen one way or the other. But yeah, it's intense, man, and I'm Like, and I think about it, and I go to bed, and I wake up, and I don't sleep very well, but like I'm awake and I'm sober and I'm alert and I'm aware and I don't feel. I couldn't imagine waking up hungover and then thinking I had to like flee for my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's
Damn. Can you imagine?
being hungover or thinking that I had to have a drink before I got on the road just to handle the reality of the situation.
Right.
So,
Well,
um,
at least I would have made a really good memorial video of you with my camera equipment.
right? Mm-hmm.
It's just you pictures of you and from your photo albums, just pictures of you naked with a parking cone on your head, just like in the arms of an angel. Just rest in peace, naked John, in the arms of an angel.
Yeah, that should be N for Naked John.
No.
That's not what it is today, but that was an old. Did we ever talk about that?
No, yes, we have. Yeah, I think we have. This is that theme we return to a lot in this podcast, though. And I know if people listen to them chronologically, they'll notice that we always double back to this theme is how could I do what I'm doing now fucked up or hungover? Like it comes up every podcast. I'll say it or you say it. Like, can you imagine doing that hungover? And I honestly can and cannot. You know what I mean? I can remember it, but I can't fathom doing that now. In the state I'm in now. Now, that being said, like I listened to that podcast that you sent me with Dax Shepard.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we don't need to plug his podcast because that guy's a millionaire. He's got enough listeners. But it's very interesting, though, to hear him talk about relapse, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so how easy it is to just fall right back in that hole. It doesn't have to be alcohol. It can be any other thing, you know. So for now, I can say with the certainty I have in this moment that I don't want to go back there, whether or not, do you know what I mean? And in a way, absolutely is my choice to go back there or not, you know? It is absolutely my choice to relapse or to go back to where I was before. Like I need to take that first drink, but then once that first drink is in, it takes the second drink. Do you know what I mean? The first drink takes the second drink or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, I have that escape hatch. That's my fucking, you know, that's the hatch. I don't know if the escape hatch is the right term for it, but you know what I'm saying.
So, yeah, so I do want to talk to you about the Dax Shepard thing here in a bit, but I want to first.
What's our letter for today?
So our letter today is N, and I wanted to. This was we had Kyle on the program during the beginning of the quarantine, and he is one of our patrons on Patreon, and he wanted to share his story. And he lives up in the Pacific Northwest, I believe, somewhere in Washington. Okay. But he was talking about last week. We talked about. I said something about knowing the buttons that you have, like the buttons that people can push. Yeah. And so we all have buttons, and kind of finding a way to release those buttons and let them go so that people can't push them. And so he said this reminded him of a quote that I thought was really cool from everyone's favorite imp, Tyrion Lannister.
Oh, yeah.
And the quote, so N is for never forget what you are. The rest of the world will not. Wear it like armor, and it can never be used to hurt you. And I thought this was, and this is also is connected to the videos that I had sent.
And I plugged it earlier, but you didn't catch it. I was like, never forget, John. And you're like, yeah. So anyway,
I thought it was. I thought you were making some obscure
life-threatening evacuation here, Jerry.
Yes. Okay.
Man, that was like an hour ago.
I know. Oh man, I thought it was some obscure. I was like, is he making a 9/11 reference I'm not getting? Like what?
No, I was making the letter from the fucking podcast.
So
you start it. You hop it off.
Okay.
What are we doing? Right. What do we never forget?
Never forget what we are. And I think so. A lot of people may not agree with us, but I'm an alcoholic. Okay, and
nice to meet you.
I don't. My name's John, and I'm an alcoholic.
Hi, my name's Jerry. I'm a ripping alcoholic.
I love that you have Jack Daniels boxes back there behind your left shoulder.
Dude, you know where we go to get our moving boxes? Liquor store. Dude, yeah, that's. Oh yeah, right there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. They're good and sturdy. They hold heavy bottles.
Hell yeah, I have tons of liquor boxes from moving. Yeah.
So I think the thing for me when I think never forget is my capacity and my capability and the ease in which I could very easily slip into not only the self-destructive behavior, but the destructive behavior in all of the people around me. And so when I look at those videos and I get, it gives me shivers almost.
Right.
I think that's a good reaction. But also you're right. It was just we were young and we didn't know. But it reminds me that was there, and that existed for 20 years or more in that phase, in that avatar of me, that way of thinking, way of being. And I don't have to identify with that part of myself ever again if I don't want to.
Right.
But if I ignore it or forget it or think that it's gone, then I run the risk of falling back into those same ways of being, behavior pattern, thinking, all of that. And I don't ever want to do that ever again because it was so painful. The fun aside. So I think, but I also know that on the flip side of that, the level of accomplishment that I have achieved in my own life, and that's a funny thing because it can very easily, maybe I don't have a lot of money, or maybe I don't have a lot of quote unquote success, but I've been sober for 5 years. I lost 70, 80 pounds. I have, run 13 miles in the desert in the dark. All these different things. I have a good relationship. Those depends on how you define success, but I don't ever want to forget that that's what I'm capable of as well. That I have the ability to achieve those things, When I look back at when I watch those videos of you and I, and we're just sitting around or standing around and we're basically just fucking around. Like there was no motivation to do anything. There didn't seem to be any goals. There didn't seem to be any sort of, everything was very short-sighted and very, what can feel good right now? Like, what the fuck? Like, there was video of us just standing behind a bar in an alley smoking cigarettes.
But see, I can't be too hard on myself for that shit because I was in my 20s. When you meet a motivated 20-year-old, you're like, that guy is a fucking weirdo. Every fucking 20-year-old I've met that's motivated is either a fucking young Republican or like shady as fuck. I'm sorry, man. So I can't be like, oh, what was I doing? I was being 22. That's what I was doing, standing around. And I had no focus in life because I didn't know how to have focus in life. That's why I was an alcoholic. I can't be mad at 22-year-old Jerry. See, it's different for me or you because your perspective of it, you have a lot more videos of you doing wild shit than I do. So you get to be reminded of it. I'm pissed at? I'm pissed at 35-year-old Jerry, who fucking knew better and still kept fucking putting that shit in his fucking body. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, but even that guy can't even waste my time being like, what was wrong with me? I know what was wrong with me. I was a fucking alcoholic who went through some trauma when he was young that I need to fix that or not. The things we do now are just, in my opinion, just part of our new norm. This is just what we do. I can't really sit around and be like, I deserve accolades because I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm an alcoholic. Normies are like, who gives a fuck? You're doing what you're doing. Pay your rent. I'm sorry you had fucking addiction issues. Now you don't. That's what normies think about us. They don't ever think about like that internal struggle that wants to keep pushing. And to me, it's not there all the time. I mean, I'd always double back on that in the podcast too, but it's not there all the time. It's not even there in moments of crisis. Like when we were where you're at now in that like mid-evacuation, when the sky was red and I thought we were going to have to leave everything, I wasn't like, I need a fucking drink. That never crossed my mind. What crossed my mind was run for your life. But in hindsight, thinking about it and the exhaustion of it and finally releasing all that, there was part of my mind that was like, man, wouldn't it be great to just push it all out even better? Do you know what I mean? Like, so for me, like, I look at those videos are funny to me because I was a kid and I forget myself, but I also you did some crazier shit on video than I did. So, and you have a record of it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because to you, it was more like, you're like, look at the spectacle of John. And to me, I was more like having that crisis in my alone time. Like nobody was sitting and filming me crying with holding a fucking gun. Do you know what I'm saying? Like deciding whether or not to shoot myself. Nobody was filming that, you know?
Yeah.
So it's different for us. Our perspectives on it are different. You know, just like
That's true.
Coda's like, oh, you John, you're being too hard on yourself, you know, but his perception of it is different than yours. Do you know what I mean? You were like, hey, we were all laughing, but on the inside, I wasn't laughing. You know, it was tears of a clown, man.
I was tears of a clown, dude. I was always
fucking around.
Like, my perspective was, if I make a spectacle of myself, people will laugh at me, and if they laugh at me, that means they're accepting me. And then if I can be accepted, then I can be loved. And so there was this, so on some deeper level, it's this search for love and acceptance in doing all the wrong things to get it.
Right. And that's just an aspect of your motivation. Do you know what I mean? That's just an aspect of your alcoholism as well. That wasn't caused by your alcoholism, and that didn't cause your alcoholism, but it is definitely like part of it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like it's another symptom of that symptom of the symptom, you know?
So dancing around the living room naked to They Might Be Giants, James K. Polk, while my roommate Danny videotapes me and just is chuckling in the background.
Right. And to me, that's just a weird scene. That's just like the strangest Tuesday ever.
And it was
so irreverent, it would make me laugh. See, I was like your audience that was laughing.
Right.
Like we fueled that, we fed off each other, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I didn't realize until later, and you talked about it, even not shortly, but you talk about being alone, drunk with the gun, and you would tell me that. And I think that, I mean, I don't know why you told me that, unless you were, I mean, is that a cry for help? Was that just like, hey, look, this is my fucking struggles?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
And I never once, I was like, oh, so you're here, so we're cool. Oh, I was like, damn, dude, that's rough. All right.
You don't want to shoot yourself right now, right? I'm like, no, and you're like, all right, cool.
Yeah, and that would be the end of the conversation.
But there's nothing I can do with that anymore. Oh, that's bullshit. There is something I can do with that. I can not forget it and wear it like armor, like the quote from Tyrion Lannister, who is an alcoholic character in my opinion, which is funny because he's like an active alcoholic. Because at another point in time, his quote is like, "I drink and solve problems," or whatever it is, or you know, I
drink and I know things.
Yes, exactly. Which all drunks think they know things, and some of them do know some things. I know some things, you know, just like you know some shit. But
it's funny. I think I watched. So let's see. I got sober in 2015. Game of Thrones has been around since what? 2000.
I watched the first like 3 seasons drunk. Yeah, 2011, I think, 10 or 11, because we started it back in Arizona.
Long. Okay. And I feel like and that's an early quote. I drink and I know things.
Right. That was like third season.
And I think in that third season and hearing that, in active alcoholism, there feels like a sense of power to that, right? That sounds cool.
Yeah, it does.
That sounds, you know, it looks cool, and he's got the flagon of wine, and there's, you know, going to go to war and all this stuff, and he's sort of gallivanting around the chamber, and
he doesn't follow by your standard rules, your normal rules of society. You know, he's living outside of the norm. You know.
And then I hear that when I hear that quote, or I see it on a T-shirt or something, or, you know, an Instagram quote, and I hear it now, and I'm just like, well, I think, like, come on, man. I mean, one, I know it's fiction, but also I drink and I know things. Like, it's not, I don't feel as much power in that anymore.
Right.
Because, and like you said, I don't live up to your standards.
I don't live up to your societal standards.
No, of course not. Well, I lower my personal standards so that I don't have to deal with any of that other shit.
Plus, like, dude, wearing a shirt with any message on it other than "I shaved my balls for this" is corny as fuck, dude. That's the only shirt with a message I think is hilarious. That's it.
Right. I mean,
Yeah, with like you can't sleep, clowns will eat me. The ones you get at the Spencer's that are like, I do what the voices tell me, and I'm like, if you start hearing voices, you'd be crying. It would be a sad, scary thing.
Yeah.
I'm
hear
just
voices
judging
anymore?
you.
Ever?
I never heard voices in the first place. No, not me.
So
That's not me. I think that's another person on another podcast you speak
to. I used to hear when I was younger, like when I was 18, 19, 20, I used to hear voices, but they didn't make any intelligible words.
Oh.
It sounded like some other weird language. And it went on for like a couple years, and then it went away, and I never was treated or anything, but okay.
Maybe you should talk to your counselor about that.
A therapist?
Yeah, I mean, I would get hungover and get phrases, but that's just my internal monologue repeating a phrase, finding the pattern within the trauma I've caused to my own body, you know. But I'd never like hear a voice and be like, that is not my internal monologue. That's something else.
Yeah. I did for a little while, but I never really, I kind of just pushed it out and didn't really.
Well, you're an adventurer, you know.
But yeah, I like this idea of never forget what you are, and both good and bad. And I think that it's in the program that we prescribe to, they talk about not being aware of yourself, but knowing yourself, right? What's the phrase?
To thy known self be true.
Yeah, and self-knowledge, and that this is a very important step in recovery. It's not the end all be all, and that it can be detrimental if you are solely going, I know myself and that's all that I need to know, and I don't need anything from anywhere else. I need no help from any other person, nor do I need a source of faith, energy, light, whatever.
That's that self-will run riot, right? Yeah.
But I do think that self-knowledge is an important step in the program.
Yeah.
And that, okay.
Absolutely.
And that realizing what I'm capable of in the positive, like it's been monumental for my well-being and for my sobriety. Like going like, oh, I'm capable of this. I'm confident. I can be courageous. I can be brave. And you know, you hear these words a lot, courageous and brave, and you know, but I think it's really true, and I think they're really accurate words. You know, one of the things, like the little things that for me feels courageous, is when I wrote that letter to my dead dad.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to do it, and I put it off for like years. And then I wrote it, you know, I wrote one, and then I wrote another, and those things that are huge. It doesn't have to be some sort of public display necessarily.
No, not at all. Yeah.
When you talk about doing the work and always wanting to know exactly what that is.
Yeah, because it's so ambiguous, right? But then part of me believes that the way I define my bravery, or I don't really like the word brave, but
I know it's hard.
I know, because it's funny, right? It's become a meme, like, so brave, you know, oh, you guys are so brave for your recovery. And I'm like, dude, something just got really bad, and I didn't want it to be as bad as it was, and now I'm learning to live like a normal person. But I think, to me, like the courageous aspect of a lot of people out there, I don't want to say just me, but just a lot of people, me included, is just waking up and doing whatever maintenance you need to do to keep your life afloat and on even keel. You know, that takes a lot, man. People don't think about it, but it takes a lot of attention, John. The same with you too. There's like a billion different things we have to do all day to make sure that this shit doesn't come falling down all around us. And not just the mental work, but the physical work, like get up, work out, wash dishes, eat breakfast, feed the animals, do this, do that. Same for you. You're probably like, get up, work out, eat breakfast, get ready for work. You know what I mean? Do your journaling, do all those things. Those millions of little things take a lot of fucking time and a lot of toll. And it does take some courage to do those things. Because you could definitely just be like, fuck all this shit. I want it to be easier and harder at the same time, right? Because that's the glamour of alcoholism, is that your inner alcoholic tells you, well, this is going to make it easier. It's very political, because it tells you a huge fucking lie, and then it does the opposite of what it tells you it's going to do, and then makes you think that that's what you want. Do you know what I mean?
What's the lie? The lie is What's
it's gonna
the
make
lie?
it easier. You'll be able to have that moment of relief. You'll be able to relax. You'll be able to fit in with other people again. You'll be glamorous. You'll get to go dancing. Hey, you might even score yourself a threesome. Who knows, man? You get to fucking be the best karaoke singer out there. You get to finally tell that motherfucker what you think about him. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it tells you all this shit. You have all this power, and then in the meantime, it's like that scene in Super Troopers or maybe it was a beer fest where they're having the big drunken dance off, and the guy thinks he's so fucking hot, and then it just keeps cutting back to him, and he's just smashing tomatoes with like a beer box on his head, but he thinks he's got a crown on and shit. That's what it is. It's so deceptive, and it definitely tells you it's going to do something for you, and it does the opposite and tells you it's still doing that thing for you. And in order to not have to listen to that voice or to listen to that escape hatch, that fucking thing that tells you it's a lifeboat, it takes a lot of fucking ovaries. It takes a lot of fortitude.
It does.
Yeah, dude.
And then the only threesome I ever got was like a plastic pint of Old Crow and a fucking 22 of Coors Light. You know what I mean? Like, that was it.
Dude, yeah, my threesomes. It was a fucking bottle of bourbon and a pack of cigarettes, dude. Damn.
It's what a trip, dude. What a fucking trip. It's just a big mind fuck that we do to ourselves. And the whole.
I wonder if normal, but I mean, I hate using the word normie and normal, but maybe non-alcoholic, non-addict people. Maybe they have a similar version of that. I can't put myself into their psychology, right? Like, what would be?
I don't know.
Could it be politics, or could it be money, or could it be prestige? I love that word today. That's my word for today. It's prestige. Yeah, I don't know. I think every human has it. It's in our nature, right? Like, we want to push that button that makes us feel good, and most of the time it's like really bad for us. Like, you could mash it in with anything, sugar, or buying things, or living outside of your means. So yeah. But I think we got lucky because we figured it out, and we're trying to cope with that, and find other ways. Because running's good for you, but running can also be bad for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, tear a glute or something, or
something. Yeah.
Tear a glute. I don't even know if that's an actual thing. You just tear an ass cheek.
Is that a place? Isn't that in Indiana, or is that Terre Haute?
Yeah, Terre Haute, Indiana, dude. That's where the Corn Palace is.
Play
some cornhole.
Play some cornhole. I think, man, I am just so. What was I gonna say to you? I don't know. What were you were just talking about
we're talking about courageousness and bravery, but our overlying arch is just, not forgetting that you're a drunk motherfucker.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah. When you talked about the courageousness of waking up,
right,
and just getting up and not doing it with a drink, and the struggle of that. So I think too, there's all this maintenance that's required for a better life. Like, that's just anything. So it seems trivial, but when I think about how I lived drunkenly and how I live sober, in sobriety now, that when I was drunk, I never did the laundry until the very last day. I never did the dishes until I absolutely had to. And even then I didn't do them.
No.
I wouldn't. Vacuuming, taking out the trash, all this stuff so that you can have some peace in the space in which you live. And coming to realize the importance of that peace is huge. So, so when I realized this the other day, I was cooking some food, making food, and I'm doing everything. Like, I'm making lunch to take to work, and I'm making breakfast. And I don't even sit down to breakfast, hot or not, until all the other dishes are done. So I wash as I go. Right?
Same here, dude.
And that never used to be the place. And I remember I was with Rashida, and it must have been here, and she's like, well, the food's going to get cold. And I said, I know, but I won't enjoy it. if I know that
you do all the dishes,
unless if there's dishes in the sink, right?
Okay, I'm the opposite. I'll eat with dishes in the sink, but I don't cook. I don't cook with a full sink. So, like, I'll go to bed with, it depends on like, Megan won't go to bed with a full sink, but I don't give a fuck. But I'll get up, and before I cook, I'll do all my dishes right in the morning. Or, like, if I'm going to make lunch and there's 2 cups in there, I wash them. Like, I can't cook with a full sink, but I can definitely eat with a full sink. We're like the opposite. Like an odd couple. If my wife ever
Right.
leaves me, we'll move in together, dude, and we'll just pick up each other's shifts, you know?
Well, God forbid.
Yeah, no, I don't want her to leave me. I like her. We get along real well.
Yes. Um, so I just think that's an interesting contrast to how I used to live, and that the importance of
Right,
the
right.
maintenance is so it's huge, and it makes
Yeah.
me feel so much better to leave the house knowing that the sink is empty.
You
And
had no furniture. Like
yeah,
when you moved in that little house in Napa and I came to see you, you had some furniture, but it was
hmm
like that sectional you had, and half of it was in one room and half was in the other. And like I'd be like, there's nothing on the walls. That was more Coda than you, though. Coda never had anything on the
right.
walls. We were laughing about this a few podcasts back where it was just a dead flower tacked to the wall. It was literally had a dead rose tacked to his wall. And I'm like, what is up
Well,
with that? You know? And he's just like, I don't know. This is beautiful, man, or whatever. But like, you just didn't care. Like, just because you didn't want nice shit. Like you would have an
no.
old TV, and I'd be like, dude, you have a little bit of money. Let's throw out this old TV and get you a nicer TV so you can watch movies and shit. You're like, nah, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm gonna take this money and drink with it. You're like, I
Yeah,
don't watch TV. Get drunk and listen to the radio.
right. I wouldn't
Yeah,
because it would take away from the funds that were required for the alcohol
and cigarettes and
every
whatnot.
single time. And I
Which
think
is
too,
funny because you worked in a bar, like you were getting free booze all the
yep,
time. Yeah, I was
it
just
was
like,
never enough,
I
dude. It was
know,
never
dude.
fucking enough.
Isn't that crazy? That's why we're sitting here. That's why we're sitting here. Because you worked in a place where the free booze was at. Like I envied you because
I
I was
could
like,
take,
I would drink
yeah,
a case of wine and I'd have a nice ass TV and be drinking a case of wine. That was the difference between us, though. Is I would buy shit.
yeah,
But that's also part of my pathology. You know what I
mm,
mean? Me buying shit has a lot to do with like that
mhm.
find a need and fill it kind of thing. Um,
But yeah, it's
funny.
and you talked about normies and how normal people and people who are, non-alcoholics, non-addicts.
I feel
I
weird.
was,
Go ahead though.
yeah, I was waiting on a couple, and they were very nice at the restaurant, and I sold them on this bottle of wine, which, obviously I've never tasted, but they loved my description. Um, and it's the name of
Tastes like all the
the
other ones.
basically, I mean, I don't, man, when I used
They
to
all
drink
taste
wine,
the same,
yeah,
dude.
it's
Anyway, I'm
yeah.
sorry.
I mean, either you're into it or you're not. And if you're into it, then you're really into it, and that's great, and I'm happy to help. Um,
Congratulations.
but there's one call. It was like Spanish for the word the crew, and it was like Wadria.
I'm
I
not
don't.
familiar. I don't know. I should know it,
Okay.
but I don't.
Not really important. I think
Right.
it was like a Syrah Viognier. Again, see, I could go into it with you if I needed to sell it to you,
Really
but
could.
they were
Oh,
very excited. They were very excited. I poured it. They were like, "Wow, this is great. It's so different from what we drink." And I was like, "Perfect." And they were lovely, and they were kind, and they were
right.
sweet. And when they left, they each left about a half a glass of wine, like
Mhm.
gone. And I was like, "That's a lot to leave. Nobody ever leaves that."
Half a
Very and
glass.
half of a glass of wine. Even people who are seemingly normal will finish their wine because they paid for it.
Right.
And then as I go to clear the table, there's like, I don't know, 2 inches of wine in the bottle.
Right.
And I'm thinking, what the fuck,
Mhm.
guys? And they were done drinking, and it wasn't
Right.
about the money. And I think too, my father was this way. And I think you listened to the podcast I did with my mom, and she talks about my dad. And one of the things he would do is he would always finish his drink because it was always seen as quote unquote a waste, right?
Yeah.
You can't
Mhm.
can't waste that alcohol. You need to drink it up. So it didn't matter how drunk you were, how much you had already had to drink. It was always about this. We put it in our heads that we can't waste it because we paid for it, and there's
Right.
value
Yes. Hmm.
in the bourbon, in the beer, and hey, finish that. Or what's the joke? Hey, you're gonna leave that half a beer there? That's alcohol abuse.
Right. Yeah. I
Right?
forgot about that joke. Yeah.
Jesus. Yeah. So it's like, what a fucking corny ass joke.
Mhm.
But it was funny at the time.
It was funny.
So
I even
I
laughed right now instinctively. Like
right.
my reflex was like, "Oh, a booze joke." Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that some people are just they get to enjoy it, and they get to have it, enjoy it, and walk away from it, and
God
that's
love them.
fine. God love them.
You know they
Good
go
for
home and spank each other or some shit, or I don't
Oh,
know.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone's got
Right.
their kink
Like
and their weirdness and their like. I don't
I
think
no
because you're
no
sober.
shaming, no
No,
shaming.
no, 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 no.
But you know they
Well,
go home and daddy puts on the diaper.
yeah,
And
yeah, right. Normies ain't normal. Nobody's
normies
normal,
ain't
and
normal,
so
it's normal. That's why I feel weird about that word because I'm like,
right.
hey, I sometimes with that word normie, I feel like, oh, I'm atypical, so I'm a special little somebody. And they pound that into your head in the program. They're like, you're not special, you're not unique, you're an alcoholic like the rest of us. It's very Fight Club. It is
Yeah,
very, yeah, it's
it
like
is very
you are
Fight
not a
Club.
snowflake, you are drunk like you and I got something in common, right? Like you could
Mhm.
drink a case of wine and I hated wine. Like even you talking about trying to sell me the bottle, I'm like, I
Yeah.
hate wine. I drink it though, but I hate it. You know what I'm
So
saying?
I did take Jerry on one wine tasting back in 2012
Oh yeah,
or
it
13.
was
That was so weird, dude.
Gunlock Bunshoe.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, you remember. So it's so Jerry doesn't
you
fly.
were too hungover. I
I
don't fly.
was really hungover, and so
I
he was
don't
coming
fly
down on
though.
the train, and the train was like this overnight deal. So the train picked up at like 8 o'clock in the morning in Oakland. So I had to drive an hour, and I picked him up, or like 7 or 8. It was really fucking
It's
early.
like 7:30 in the morning, dude.
So I've made an appointment because I want to share with Jerry my experience of living in wine country and what it's all about. And I'm like, I know, man, you don't drink wine, whatever. It's gonna be cool. Don't worry about it. We're gonna do wine tasting. It's not drinking. We'll go get real drinks later.
Yeah.
Like I'm just trying to hype it up, and I'm trying to convince him. And like we're gonna take this dune buggy and we're gonna drive out to the vineyards, and it's this whole
Mhm.
experience. It's gonna be great. And I pick him up, but then the wine tasting doesn't start until 11. So
Mhm.
now there's like 2 hours of both of us being exhausted because I think maybe you slept
We
on the
both
train,
were hungover. Yeah, I got drunk on the train. Yeah.
hungover, so tired. It's so early, and we get there, and it's still like 30 minutes till this fucking thing goes. And I'm like, can we get like a glass of wine while we wait or something? And they're like, no, we don't do any of
I
that, and blah blah blah. We're not
forgot
open
about
yet.
that. Mhm.
And so it was like this. I remember like just clinging on, like, man, they're gonna give us Chardonnay any second. Oh my god, I can't
You
fuck.
were green. You were like sweating
Hmm.
bullets, dude. Yeah, and I was fine. I was like,
Yeah.
this is your A-tip hangover. As long as I don't poop my pants, I'm doing great. Like, this is pretty fucking normal hangover for Jerry, but you were like on a hard
Yeah.
hangover that day. Yeah, I could
Uh-huh.
see it in
I
you. I
think
was
that
like,
whole week I was on hard hangovers.
yes, you were, and I kept pushing it too. But anyway, they
And
gave me the wine eventually, though.
it was, yeah, and so we did the thing and it was fine, and then we both went home and fucking passed the fuck out.
Yeah,
But it was this like this whole pomp and circumstance around getting drunk and having to
right.
make getting it done, and it
Mhm.
was just it was so much energy, effort, and force put toward drinking.
Yeah, mhm,
Insane. It's
right.
they talk about it being insanity, and it really is insane
It
because
absolutely is. Yeah, it's an obsession of the mind. But, and I really think, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go
no,
ahead.
no,
And
go ahead.
I'll
That's
interject. I really honestly theorize, this is my own personal theory, that alcoholism and addiction is a form of OCD. It's a form of obsessive compulsive disorder. I really do. And I don't know if, I'm obviously not a doctor. I just play one on the podcast. But like, I think it is because we obsess about things outside of alcoholism, like
Mhm.
outside of drinking. Like I was incredibly obsessive in relationships. Like a woman would leave me, or I'd break up with I would break up with the woman and then obsess over her compulsively for months and months and months and months
Mm.
and months, and like stalk her and text her and write her on Facebook and be like, I really loved you. And she would be like, you fucking dumped me, or you cheated on me. Like, what are you sad about?
Right.
So yeah, so I really honestly think it is a form of insanity in that sense. And I don't want to use insanity in a negative way to people out there who do have these like obsessive compulsive or anything like that. I just feel like it's a mental, like a form of mental illness. Well, obviously it is.
Hmm.
I think that's what we mean when we say insanity, but
But in specifically OCD, and
yeah.
I can see that by the fact that I would begin to plan all the things I was going to do to get a drink the next day.
Mhm.
I would already be thinking about it. I would
Yes.
be sitting at a bar on a Monday night and drinking there and thinking, okay, well, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to be hungover. And then tomorrow I have to work. So maybe I'm going to have 2 beers before work and then I'll get there. And then I can, while I'm setting up the bar, because I worked at a bar, right? So while I'm setting up the bar and I'm moving bottles around, people just expect me to have bottles in my hand. So if I'm smart about it, I can pour myself a shot of well vodka and chase it with a little bit of Sprite. But I'm always, so what I would do is I would always be pouring myself a little glass of Sprite. So that was like a normal thing. So everyone would always see me doing this with the gun, soda gun, shot, shot. So that when I poured that shot of vodka, it never looked out of the ordinary.
Right.
For
you
me
had
to
vodka
be
in the gun? It was in
no,
the
no,
gun?
no. I'm sorry. No, but I would like pour it or something like that or whatever it was. Or sometimes I'd take off the little thing and I'd
you
pour
put
it down
vodka in
below.
a gun?
They do have them in Vegas. You have
That's
big
what I was wondering.
stuff. Yeah.
Okay. But go ahead. Yeah.
But so I would be thinking about the series of drinks I would have at work the next day while I was sitting on the bar
training, you training the people that worked for you to
right?
just associate you holding that drink with just normal shit. So there's nothing weird going on.
No.
Even though it's really weird though. It's getting really weird, but they can't tell it's getting
They can't tell, right? Or so I think.
You're like Penn and Tellery that shit, dude.
I was. It's true. And so I'm doing like this fucking psyops on my coworkers to get them to be normal, to look at me, because I remember one time a kid behind the bar, he had a shot of whiskey and he turned around and he squatted all the way down and he took the shot and then he came and I was like, that's the most awkward thing in the world. That's not hiding it from anyone.
Yeah.
What the fuck? I know exactly
what Walter.
And so I realized if I always had a glass in my hand, nobody would ever question me with a glass in my hand. Yeah. So I would then just find ways to make sure that it had vodka in it.
Yeah. Smart. Very smart. But it was smart, but it was also like, look at all that extra work just to get through your day, dude. That's all your extra work right there. I mean,
I wasn't doing the laundry or the dishes or maintaining anything real in life. I was simply maintaining my addiction to the alcohol.
Right. Like you could have taken that amount of effort to figure out how to get a 401k.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Sure. That all the amount of effort I built up to all the amount of effort I put in to build this affectation of me being a drunk, like a fun time alcoholic, you know, like with the flasks and walking around and building this whole, like, Jerry's a really good time. He doesn't have a problem. Like I could have taken all that effort to like actually further my career or done something more than just, you know, but hey man, regrets, you know, what are you going to do?
Let him go. Leave him alone.
Go and start doing that shit now. But I still think you run and I count calories and you run. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? We still have those little mechanisms that help us get through the day. They just tend to be a little more positive, you know. But like with the running and counting, it could totally go off the rails and get bad. Do you know what I mean? Just like with drinking.
So much more positive.
Way more
positive.
Like you really have to push running for it to get bad for you, or you really have to injure yourself a bunch of times to just keep pushing, you know.
Right. So I'm certainly not interested in that.
Then you can't
run. So it's just and that idea of never forget. And I'm going to quote you one more time and say, when I first got sober and I asked you for advice, and this was via text, and I think I was laying in this bed right over here in my bedroom, and I said, Jerry, what do I do? And you said, tattoo your last bender on your brain. And it wasn't too long after I'd had it, so it was pretty easy. And so
there.
That's something that I've always held with me. Tattoo your last bender on your brain. Just tattoo it in there. Don't let it go, because that's what you're going to need to be able to reach back for when you feel like drinking again. Follow it through to its logical conclusion. You don't even need to imagine what it's going to be like, because you've done it so many times. You know exactly what it's going to be like.
Yeah. It should be the same reflex you have as fire. Like touching a hot coil on a stove. You will always remember and associate that with pain, so you won't do it again intentionally. That's what our fucking, not even our rock bottoms, that's just what our whole environment of drinking, that's how we should remember it, as like a painful thing. This is poisonous, spit it out. You know, that's what I try to do now with my last bender, or even the emotions around drinking at that point when it had gotten so out of hand. That's why I just keep remembering that's hot. Don't touch that. That's poison. Spit it out. Like, you don't need that. Like, you already know. You already know what you can do with that. And if anyone's telling you that you don't do that, fuck them. They don't fucking know. They don't know. You know. So don't forget it. You know.
You know yourself.
I love when I address the podcast audience directly. It always makes me feel really weird. Like, I'm like, I'm not telling you what to do. Your hand is so much bigger than mine, John.
Well, I just put it right to the.
You know, I can't figure out. Did you notice how much smaller, like how much your hands look different when you've lost weight?
Yes.
All right.
Yes,
so
I have.
My screensaver is like, as I'm talking to you, I have my little window and it's a picture of Olive and her cousin Marcos. And then I have my arm, I'm like in the corner and I have my arm around Olive and you can see my hand there. And this was taken in 2017 and it's such a different hand. It's like a fat, like it's like a Spam with some fucking Vienna sausages stuck with it.
Yes.
Like a wolf tattoo. Do you know what I mean? It like looks so different. Now I look at my hand. I feel like getting thinner though has aged me. Like I look at my face and I'm like, man, I got a lot older. I got older.
Because the wrinkles and that
turkey
too.
neck. Because the fat pushes all the wrinkles out, so you don't look. Do you know what I'm saying? Like
you look younger.
Those crow's feet there, yeah.
I'm okay with that, man. Like I'm really like I've been looking at it and like I've been letting my hair grow out and
I like your hair long.
I do too. I mean, but it's thinning up here and it's thinning back here, but I'm just like, you know,
it's working for you right now. It's working for you right now.
Right.
I say hold on to the twilight of your fucking hairline, dude. I saw a video of you running like on Instagram and you had your hair kind of, and I was like, man, that's kind of good look for him, man. I think he should continue. Yeah.
I will. I just don't want to look like Martin Mull from Roseanne.
I'll let you know, dude. I'll be honest with you. I'll be like, yo, it's time to fucking go short again.
Yeah. But yeah,
Martin
man.
Mull from Roseanne was a mess, though.
Right? You know what I mean? Where it's just all thin all the way to the back, but it's still long and kind of hanging. It's just
it's like Mr. Grasso from Freaks and Geeks. I know you never watched that show, but
I need
like a Johnny Fever kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to address the podcast, the Dax Shepard podcast.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a minute.
So a couple of things. So Dax Shepard, actor, podcaster, comedian, and
Kristen Bell,
16 years sober, and you know, he's been very open about it. He's been in the program, and one of the things that is concerning, and that some of the so basically he relapsed, and it was pain pills and it was opioids that and I guess he didn't relapse with drinking, but he was like, oh, well, should I, shouldn't I? Can I call myself 16 years sober? If not, did I lose all that kind of stuff? And he tells the whole story. It was a long
slip. Yeah.
Dude, it was a very long, it was, I mean, it's beyond slip, but it was a relapse for sure. So one of the things, now, before I even listened to the podcast, I saw online there was criticism of him bringing up AA because they were saying, hey, you're not a spokesperson for AA. You're giving AA a bad name. Like,
but he never. Yeah, go ahead and finish.
He mentions being in the program. He mentions.
Yeah, he does, but he doesn't.
He doesn't say anything about like promoting it. No,
not at all.
So that was my first coming across it. And then I saw somebody else I think I saw it on Rich Roll's Instagram. Hey, please listen to this. This is really powerful. So I said, okay, I'm going to listen to this and find out what's really going on. I listened to it. And I mean, you want to talk about being courageous. Like I don't think that takes a lot of guts to put that out there.
That takes a ton of guts, John. He laid it all out. And I want to address the thing about the 11th tradition and people saying that he's breaking 11th tradition, because the idea is if we have a relapse and then we mention AA, you know what I mean, publicly in front of everybody, and then our relapse, it makes AA look bad. But I think that's really fucking disingenuous. I really do. I feel like that's really shady to be like, you know, people in AA relapse, people who go through any of these programs relapse. It's what we do sometimes. Do you know what I'm saying? And maybe I feel real defensive about it because we mention AA constantly, but we're also not Dax Shepard. We're just John and Jerry, two dudes, you know? We're just low-hanging fruit in this game, you know? But, like, and I can respect that someone be like, hey, you guys are breaking 11th tradition, but that doesn't make me a detriment to the program, because I'm not telling you to go to the program. I'm not telling you that the program will solve all your problems. I'm telling you that this program worked for me, but I can't tell you what it is because it's a secret program. Do you know what I mean? Where you know that, I mean, I know I'm going on this trail here because I really want to talk about Dax, but I really feel like Bill and Dr. Bob put that in there just so there wouldn't be any fucking lawsuits. You know what I mean? Like in a litigious way, like, hey, let's not really promote ourselves. So these fucking drunks, these AAs crash a car and kill some people. Nobody can sue AA for not being an effective program. Do you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
That being said,
I think, well, and to that, I mean, I don't know what their motivation was.
This is also my theory.
Right. This is a very small personal theory from one person, one human being in billions, right? So it's not like,
right.
Anyhow, I feel like with anything, any written text that is looked at as a program or as a way of structuring your life and people and situations, whether it be the Big Book or the Constitution of the United States of America, which has multiple amendments, these things, I feel, this is a suggestion, correct? This is not God's law. This is not gravity. This is not physics. This is a suggestion. Oh, do you want to feel better? Oh, is this a good way to organize people? And I'm just using the Constitution as an example, right?
Because I was going to say, I think those aren't suggestions. Those are like laws.
Well, okay, yes.
But laws are man's suggestion when we're looking at God's law, which you had talked about a few podcasts ago.
They have amended it. They have made changes.
You are right, absolutely. But they have not
point.
AA, though.
No.
They haven't really, a little bit.
So at the risk of being, of somebody saying, hey, man, so I'm not promoting it. I think that everything, including AA, there's got to be some level of evolution over the years.
Yes. I think they're just busting that dude's balls because he's famous, and people like to bust famous people's balls. And maybe, and I'm not here to talk about like Dax Shepard's fame or what he's done in his life, because even I write him up. It's like, oh, he's just a famous dude. The fuck do I care about a famous dude, right? Like, because I still function in that weird mind frame where I'm like, well, you have money, so you must be doing great, which is totally dumb. I shouldn't think that way, but I do, because there's a lot of resentment. So I gotta do a little fourth, if you know what I'm saying.
That's your own shit. Yeah.
Yeah, it's my own shit. But the thing about Dax is it takes, as far as listening to this podcast, it takes a lot of balls to come out and be like, hey, I fucking lied to you. So to me, I can consider it a relapse because he lied about it. He lied a lot about it. Like, he made up stories. And if you don't have a problem, you shouldn't be lying about it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, and I don't think that's the only brick in that wall, but it's definitely a big brick, you know.
Well, he talked at one point about that he was like, okay, well, I have to have this medication on top of this one so that I can create these scenarios where it's okay for me to be high, where it's okay for me to have too much because I had this and this and this. And that's exactly what we do. We get wrapped up in these fucking narratives that we're creating, these lies and these stories, so that we can get high, so that we can get drunk, and so that it'll be okay and we can make it. And I was ready to be, as I think with you, I'm like, oh, he's famous, it's fine, whatever. He's got money, fucking, he can ride it out a little bit easier than me. But I was ready to be more submissive, dismissive than accepting. But I was like, wow, okay, I related so much to those feelings and those thoughts.
Yes. And it's a series of allowances, right? That's what I related to more than
that's good. That's a good phrase.
The subterfuge, because I wasn't a big liar when I was, and I haven't relapsed yet so far, you know, knock on the bear. But I did lie when I drank. I never really lied that much. I lied a little bit, but I was like, this, what you see is what you get. Like, I'm a giant fucking drunk. This is what you get. I'm not gonna lie. But I did there were tons of allowances. Like, there were tons of allowances as to why I could drink and what the occasions were and what I could do while I was drinking, you know. Absolutely.
I think allowances. I think I certainly lied.
Yeah.
more about like it would be in relationships where a lot of it would be like, how much did you have to drink?
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, are you going to drink? And so I would lie. And then I would, oh, I'm only going to have 2 drinks, but I would have like 4 or 5.
Right. And to say you only had 2, but you're all loose and sweaty. And they're like,
But in my mind, I was like, well,
big
that's all
ass drinks.
I only had the 2 that mattered. Those beers
Yeah.
didn't count, or whatever it was, whatever
Drinking beer, it's not drinking. Come on.
whatever the justification for it was.
Yeah.
And so, but yes, a series of allowances that allows you to just say, yeah, I mean, that's just, hey man, that's how it goes. That's how I do it.
Mhm.
But I don't think that there was any, no, I don't, I agree that there was no breaking of any traditions or
No.
I feel we went through the same thing when we first started the talking about this stuff in the podcast. And
well, we went through with each other. I don't know if we ever got any blowback from emails because I don't think we have a very large audience anyways it is, but we do love our audience. Thank you, by the way, for listening. But I don't think we're out there enough where people can hit us up. And if we ever do end up out there enough, like we can be, I don't know. We've always been very transparent about what we do. And it's been hard for us to mention AA in the beginning because we were like, well, I don't want to cause any friction. But at this point, dude, it's not Fight Club. It's not some secret happening in a cave, dude. It's in like modern media. It's everywhere. We're just not promoting it, you know?
Right. And I don't, I mean,
and it's 2020, dog. We got so much more shit to worry about whether or not you and I say AA.
It's true. Woo. It's true. It really falls down the list of things to worry
about.
Priorities,
you know, it's a little lower there. It's
I've got a box of groceries and 2 bags of clothes right next to the front door in case I
I'm saying,
flee.
Yeah. I just put away all my clothes from when we were on our evac orders because I was still scared that I was going to get them. I was still scared we were going to get them even after the fires were contained. Matter of fact, we had a windstorm the other day, and 5 miles away in fucking Cresswell, they got evac notices just like 2 days ago because the fire moved. There was a fire popped up and moved super fast in the wind. So I was like, shit, here we go again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely worth listening to. I think
absolutely.
His and for those of you interested, he's got a podcast called the
Armchair
Expert.
Armchair Expert or something like that. Yeah.
Armchair Expert. And so it's really, I mean, for somebody to say, I have 16 years and now I have 7 days.
That's a hell of a motherfucker, dude.
Mm-hmm.
We hear that, though. I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've absolutely heard that. This is what we do, man. This is what we do. But you learn, though, right?
Yeah, you don't lose, you know, like he talks about it. I don't, if I were to drink today, I wouldn't lose the 5 years that I have. I wouldn't lose the knowledge. I wouldn't lose the experience. I wouldn't lose the tools. I would just go, oh, I didn't apply them correctly that day. And so now I need to go back and course correct and apply the tools better.
Right. And I mean, it's all individual. Some people want to reset the time. I don't know if you're being disingenuous. Like I would probably reset the time, but I wouldn't say that, oh, all my experience I have, like you said, it's not all gone.
Mm-hmm.
Just the time has been reset. And what comes with the time? The experience? You still have the experience. It's not like the experience goes away if you go on a bender for a week. Not that I'm telling you should. Don't go on a bender for a week because it's going to be, your life's going to be much easier if you don't. But
if there was only one, I mean, if there was any, you know, what we do here is really, again, we just talk about our experience and there's a lot of suggestion, but I think if there was any emphatic call to action that Jerry and I would make, it would be don't drink.
Just don't drink. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And if you're listening to still drinking, that's cool too. You know, maybe this is the push you need to really fucking consider how you're drinking and how that's affecting you and those around you and your health and the people you love and your, all that shit, you know, because it's not just you. Really that's another thing I learned too in my alcoholism. It wasn't just me affecting me. I was like reverberating out to everyone around me, dude. Mm-hmm. I was like pounding it out to it was like a fucking one of those assholes driving by in their loud cars. This is how you can tell I'm in my 40s, where I'm like, your fucking car scares the shit out of me. But that's what I was. I was just putting sound waves out to everybody around me that I passed, you know, or had in contact with. It wasn't just me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hostages. For sure. Hostages and fucking victims. I don't want to be that way anymore.
Nah, me neither, dude. The only hostage I want to have is not like in a video game, maybe. I can't even think of anything clever. I don't necessarily. The only hostage I want is a sausage or something.
I was thinking that was the hostages and sausages.
That's exactly what I was thinking. This is why we do this podcast. Prestige entertainment. Infotainment.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Well, what are you going to do? Never forget, John. And not 9/11, never forget. I mean, if you got sober at 9/11, never forget that either, though.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah, no shit.
Never forget, man. I think that's good. I think that's it.
Yeah. You know what I want to do before we end it out, though, is I want to thank the Patreon listener who sent me the care package T-shirts from his band and stuff. I still don't know if it's cool to say your name on the pod, so I know you're probably listening, so thanks for all that stuff. I'm totally going to rock it. People are going to be like, oh, you like that band? I'll be like, yeah, I've been liking that band since day one. Where you been, Herb? Fucking poser.
Right on. That's awesome, man. Fucking cool.
The band from Massachusetts, if I get a message from him saying it's okay to put him out there, I will. But if not, yo, shit's cool. I've never received a gift from the podcast, so that's rad.
That's awesome. I know who you're talking about, and he reached out and he sent me a message, and he was talking about he's kind of catching up, so he may not get this until you might want to just reach out to him.
In 18 months. I know. I've already reached out to him and thanked
okay.
him.
But he was saying something like, I just caught up to quarantine time, and anyhow, it's
4 months down the road. He's like,
right.
Oh, yeah. Okay, man.
So in conclusion, thank you guys for listening. It's much appreciated, and the Patreon's there if you want it. If not, that's fine too, man.
That's cool too, man. We ain't no pressure.
Cool, Jerry.
All right, John.
See you soon.
Yeah.
Later.
All right, later.
Thanks again for listening. Our music, as always, is by Neglect. You can find more of his stuff at neglect.bandcamp.com.
And you can find us on all social media platforms that matter: Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And you can reach us at aisforalcoholic@gmail.com.
Talk to you later.
Yeah.